On day 20 of the Donald J. Trump presidency, and it has been a day filled with fastballs. The president began with a dire warning about the security of this country and then moved on to talking about his daughter's business. With charges and countercharges flying, it can sometimes be hard to sort fact from fiction. So ABC's David Wright is on the case.
There's never been anywhere near the media dishonesty like we've seen in this election.
I understand the total dishonesty of the media.
You are fake news.
Truth be told, President Trump has a complicated relationship with the truth. This week, some glaring examples of statements that are provably false. He told the troops at CENTCOM that the media doesn't cover terrorism.
You've seen what happened in Paris and Nice. All over Europe, it's happening. It's gotten to a point where it's not even being reported.
Appearing to ignore.
The gunman then came directly through this entryway.
A nation in shock.
But what we know this morning from police.
All evidence to the contrary. He told sheriffs.
The murder rate in our country is the highest it's been in 47 years.
Not true.
Take a look. We pulled some crime stats from the FBI. You can see right there the murder rate. It is nowhere near the highest at this point.
Trump continues to make the case without offering any proof that millions of voters committed voter fraud, casting ballots for Hillary Clinton. In that big Super Bowl interview, Bill O'Reilly pushed back on that one.
If you say, for example, that there are 3 million illegal aliens who voted, and then you don't have the data to back it up, some people are going to say that's irresponsible for a president to say that. Is there any validity to that?
Many people have come out and said I'm right. You know that.
I know, but you got to have data to back that up.
The Trump White House has quickly become known for alternative facts, which sometimes distort the truth, sometimes seem to ignore it altogether. So when the president says something like this today...
Believe me, I've learned a lot in the last 2 weeks. And terrorism is a far greater threat than the people of our country understand.
Should we accept that at face value?
Is there a specific threat that he is talking about? And should the American public, based on that statement right there, be fearful?
No, but I think the American people should understand that the president's committed to doing this. We face a very, very real threat in ISIS and radical Islamic terrorism, and that we've got to do everything he can, and that the reason that he is taking the steps that he is because we must remain ever vigilant.
Today we came to Washington to see how it's going for our colleagues in the trenches.
We are here with ABC's Cecilia Vega, who literally has a front row seat for all this.
You're sitting in it. You're one over, yeah.
And the truth seems to be a moving target.
To find the truth. We're playing to find the truth in the White House right now. I don't know how that compares to past administrations, but half of my day is spent fact-checking.
Is it your sense that this is because they're winging it, or because there's some sort of design, some sort of strategy?
It's probably all of the above. This is a brand new White House. Everybody that comes into this place is afforded a little bit of a honeymoon period, or should be.
It's all been a boon to the comedy shows. Saturday Night Live is having a field day.
As you know, President Trump announced his Supreme Court pick on the national TV. Today, when he entered the room, the crowd greeted him with a standing ovation, which lasted a full 15 minutes.
Maybe the best defense against the inaccuracies coming out of the White House is Saturday Night Live.
Plenty of Trump's supporters are still willing to give him the benefit of the doubt.
The misstatements, the allegations of exaggeration and outright lies, they really don't bother me very much at this point. I regard them simply as part of the fallout of a very heated political campaign and an election.
Which makes fair-minded journalism more important than ever. Just yesterday, CNN's Jake Tapper gave a master class.
Facts are stubborn things, and to say that we're not reporting something that happens not to be true, therefore we're not to be trusted, that's a problem.
Well, Jake, if I can take the broader issue of our relationship with the media, I mean, I'm among, if not the most open press person in the White House. I'm now being attacked by the media, including networks that are familiar to you, and I'm just going to keep soldiering on.
The foundation myth every school kid learns about the presidency is that story about George Washington and the cherry tree, America's first president, pint-sized in that famous painting, who even at age 6 could not tell a lie. But in truth, plenty of presidents have prevaricated over the years. Investigative journalist Chuck Lewis, the founder of the Center for Public Integrity, has written a book on the subject, 935 Lies, all of them told by occupants of the Oval Office over the years.
I came to Washington during Watergate. I was in the midst of watching and covering Iran-Contra and Abscam and all the worst scandals we've had as a country, including the Clinton years themselves.
It's a bipartisan affliction, from Richard Nixon's whopper,
"Well, I'm not a crook,"
to Bill Clinton's brazen denial.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Even Ronald Reagan fibbed.
The United States has not swapped boatloads of plane loads of American weapons for the return of American hostages.
During a primetime address, he ultimately apologized.
My heart and my best intentions still tell me that's true, but the facts and the evidence tell me it is not.
Hard to imagine President Trump admitting even that much. Nowadays, we seem to live in a post-factual world.
What advice do you have for the reporters who are in the trenches covering this administration every day?
My advice would be just keep on covering everything that's said and check the veracity of everything that's said. And if it's true, then report it straight. And if it's not true, point it out.
And it's not just unraveling falsehoods. President Trump prides himself on being unafraid to speak unpopular truths, and that gets a lot of attention, too. An example from this weekend, his comments to Bill O'Reilly about Vladimir Putin.
Putin's a killer. A lot of killers. We got a lot of killers. Why, you think our country's so innocent?
Not something any other president has said before. This is a president who shames his critics into submission. Today, Trump took on the retailer Nordstrom for dropping his daughter's fashion line from their stores. "My daughter Ivanka has been treated so unfairly by Nordstrom," he tweeted. "She's a great person, always pushing me to do the right thing. Terrible." Shortly after the president put out that tweet, Nordstrom issued a statement of their own saying they're doing this for business reasons, that it's not personal. They say over the past year, and particularly in the last half of 2016, sales of the brand have steadily declined to a point where it didn't make good business sense for us to continue with the line for now. And they added that they have a great relationship with Ivanka Trump and her team. The worry is that these petty battles over side issues will serve mostly to drive up people's cynicism in the president and the press corps, and also that they'll distract from what's really important.
I think what the president is doing is trying to convince a large swath of the public that the only person who can be believed is him.
I think his supporters will give him a year, and they'll see what happens. It is possible that misstatements, errors of fact that are exposed do take away some of the credibility. That's unavoidable. But I think those of us who supported him, we reserve judgment on that until we get to the point of policy making.
It's still early days, but we're off to a rocky start. I'm David Wright for Nightline in Washington.